All right, today we are jumping into a really thought-provoking book by Jose Domingos Sosa called The Existential Journey. And trust me, it gets right to the heart of one of the biggest questions we can ask ourselves. So let's just start right there. The book kicks off with this huge question. What does it actually mean to be human right now in this world? If you strip away the job titles, the online profiles, all the noise of our daily lives, what are we left with? And that question, it leads us to a feeling I think a lot of us are familiar with. And there's a name for this feeling. The book calls it existential disorientation. It's that nagging sense of just being adrift. It's weird, right? We have more information, more ways to connect than ever before in history, but so often it just makes us feel more scattered, more anxious, like we've lost the map and have no idea where we're supposed to be going. So, why do we feel this way? Well, the book argues that we're trying to navigate our lives with these, modern fictions. These are the big cultural stories we're told that promise us happiness and purpose, but the problem is they often don't deliver and they just leave us feeling kind of hollow. And this brings us to maybe the biggest fiction of our time, this idea of radical individualism. Now, the promise is incredibly tempting, isn't it? Be your own project, become self-sufficient, go find your true inner self. But there's a massive hidden cost here. This constant chase can lead to what the book calls a shielded solitude, a life that looks great on the outside, full of achievements, but is actually empty of deep, meaningful relationships. And it comes with this constant, exhausting anxiety that you have to perform the perfect version of yourself all the time. Which naturally leads to a huge question. If these modern maps are just leading us in circles, what are the real truths of being human? What are the things that don't change? The book suggests we have to cut through all that cultural noise and just look our existence straight in the eye. And the book has this incredible metaphor for these truths. It calls them the luminous wounds. Now, they're wounds because, let's be honest, they're difficult, sometimes painful realities that we just can't escape. But they're luminous. They light up because facing them is the only way to find a truly authentic and meaningful life. Let's dig into the three big ones. So first up, we have finitude. It's a simple, stark, unavoidable truth. Our time here is limited. It's knowing that we're all mortal. And this quote from the source just says it all. Death isn't just this thing that happens at the very end. The knowledge of it is what gives our entire life a sense of shape and meaning and urgency. It's like the ultimate deadline that forces us to decide what's really important. So the point here isn't to be morbid or anything. It's actually the complete opposite. When you really accept your own finiteness, it becomes a powerful call to action. It's a thing that pushes you to stop putting off what's essential, to live with intention, and to figure out the difference between a life of real meaning and one just spent on stuff. All right, next up is the second luminous wound, freedom. Now, we usually think of freedom as this amazing gift, right? But from an existential point of view, it comes with this really heavy, sometimes terrifying burden. And the book brings in Sartre's famous line, "Man is condemned to be free." Think about that word, condemned. Why? Because we don't have a choice in the matter. We are just thrown into existence and forced to choose our own way. There's no script, no instruction manual. And that's really the crux of it. We are the authors of our own stories. Every single decision we make, every turn we take, and heck, even deciding not to choose, it all lands squarely on our shoulders. The responsibility is total, and there are no excuses. That realization can be a source of some really deep anxiety. The final luminous wound is what the book calls the shadow, and it pulls this idea from Jungian psychology. Basically, this is all the stuff about ourselves that we try to hide, that we deny, that we just refuse to look at. Now, what's so important to get here is that the shadow isn't just some character flaw you can fix. No, it's a fundamental part of who you are. It's your anger, your envy, your fear, all the messy parts that society told us were bad or unacceptable, so we just shoved them down into the dark. But here's the catch. The things we refuse to confront don't just magically disappear. They actually get stronger. If we don't consciously look at these parts of ourselves and integrate them, they end up running the show from behind the scenes, sabotaging us and controlling our lives without us even realizing it. Okay, so let's recap. We're faced with the fact that we're going to die, the terrifying weight of our own freedom, and all these hidden parts of ourselves. It's
A lot. So the obvious question is, how on earth are we supposed to live an authentic life without just being completely paralyzed by all of this?
So let's get into the final section and see how we move forward. The book lays out a path, a journey to authenticity. And it all starts with a pretty radical shift in how we think about ourselves. This chart really nails the book's core idea. You see, the old way, the one we're usually told, is to go on this big quest to find your true self, like your identity is some treasure buried deep inside you. But the existential path says something completely different. It says, stop searching and start engaging. Engage with the world, with your life, exactly as it is. Your identity isn't something you find, it's something you create with your choices. Life isn't a discovery mission, it's a construction project. So what does this look like in practice? Well, step 1. You have to let go of this myth that there's some perfect, pre-made, true you waiting to be found. Step 2. You have to honestly engage with those luminous wounds we talked about. Finitude, freedom, the shadow. And then step 3. You build your meaning. You create your identity, choice by choice, action by action. And this is just so critical. This journey isn't about becoming perfect. It's not about finally reaching a place where you feel happy all the time and never have any anxiety. No. What it really requires is something else entirely. It requires courage. The book brings in this powerful idea from the theologian Paul Tillich, the courage to be. And this isn't about not being afraid. It's the conscious choice to say yes to life, to stand firm and affirm your existence, even when you are staring into the face of meaninglessness and death and total uncertainty. So this brings us to the ultimate takeaway. An authentic life isn't a life without problems. It's not a life free of anxiety or fear. Authenticity is the conscious, brave choice to live a full and responsible life with all of that stuff. It's about building meaning in spite of the darkness, not by pretending the darkness isn't there. And that leaves us with the final, pretty challenging question the book poses. If the meaning of life isn't something out there that you stumble upon, but something that you have to actively build with your choices and your actions, well, what meaning are you creating right here, right now?